The bill the Deputy Jan O'Sullivan has brought forward here, and indeed the bill we debated yesterday evening in relation to student rents, bill that Fianna Fáil published a couple of weeks ago in this regard as well. I would just say one thing. I know the Minister has to leave in relation to the April report on homeless figures, and that is important. Just one thing, and we will discuss it though. Larger landlords don't necessarily mean longer leases. So institutional landlords, we've really got to. I agree with you. We need another mix within the market. That can happen. I've seen it in other countries it works because you have pension funds investing and want longer term yields, steady yields. Some of the investors coming into this market are not necessarily offering longer term leases. I would agree wholeheartedly with incentivisation of longer term leases. That can be done by way of certain tax measures if needs be, because that will provide the security that tenures are there. I know you have to go, so it'll be on the record of the House. To deal with the Labour bill itself, I think the extension of the RPZs is required now, because the review that Minister Murphy alluded to, which came to the Housing Committee on the 17th of May 2018, just earlier on this month, that document was in with a pile of other documents when we were trying to review Rebuilding Ireland. So as part of the review of Rebuilding Ireland, which in itself is a monster of a document to try to get through, in that was a discussion document of the options for the RPZs. So I would fully support a review of the RPZs, because that was refused when the original legislation came in. It is something that we'd requested, and we need to look at it. Deputy O'Sullivan has mentioned specifically the issue of Limerick, and there are other cities and larger towns around that have suffered. I think it's important that, look, we know the market is broken. I've looked at the Q4 report from the PRB. We're looking at average rent in Dublin at €1,511 per month. Average rent outside of Dublin of €1,103 per month. And the predominance of the vast majority of people becoming homeless are those coming out of the private rental sector. So it's not working, and government measures in this regard aren't working either. So tenants' rights need to be strengthened. There needs to be better security of tenure. But when we talk about supply, Minister Murphy was saying that this was academic as to who produced houses, whether it was a turnkey or whether it was a local authority. I just want to put some figures on the floor of the House here and on record, and I don't think there's anything academic about these, because if I look through the local authorities last year in relation to Rebuilding Ireland's own figures, said there were 780 social houses built. There weren't actually. There were 394 built by local authorities, and there were 386 purchased, which were turnkey. And turnkey is not just, as Minister Murphy said, and I think it was a little bit misleading actually, was that turnkey was council projects effectively that they had initiated. That's not true. I know in Fingal of turnkey properties that have been purchased, that were going out in the private market and were actually going out. So the state is competing in a shrunken market. So the couple or the individual who's also working, who's trying to buy a house, is competing with the state and with the local authority, because we're not building houses. So I wonder if Minister Murphy may answer this when he looks at the transcripts. Clare, there are 3,385 people on the housing list. Local authority bills 2017, 0. Local turnkeys, 0. Leitrim, 420 people on the housing list, 0 again. Laois, 1,336 people, 0. Monaghan, 0. Offaly, 0. South Dublin, 0, where there's 7,552 people. Not one house built or bought, I might add, in South Dublin. So someone needs to talk to the Chief Executive there. Someone in the Customs House needs to pick up the phone. Wicklow, 0. 2,749 people on the housing list. Fingal, my own local authority, my own county area, where they topped the charts for builds at 83. That's the height of our ambition, with 16 purchased turnkeys, which is 99 units, which is the best, not the best, Cork is the best output, but there's over 7,000, nearly 7,500 people on the list. I nearly dispute that figure because it's higher than that. There's an over-dependence on HAP as a measure to actually say that people are housed. HAP is not secure. The transfer from RAS to HAP as well has been really problematic. So we really need to get our act together when it comes to the rental market and when it comes to delivery of social and affordable homes. Now, I want to talk about in the minute or so that I have left the use of state lands, because We've all heard about the glass bottle site, about Oscar Traynor, about all the famous sites of Devaney Gardens that Leo and Pascal went down to and announced that this was going to happen, where nothing is happening. The state controls 3,008 hectares of land. 1,317 of those hectares are controlled by the local authorities, and there's nothing happening on them, effectively nothing. We have Lyhalf, which has accessed some lands in Donabate, where we want a housing mix, and there is a mix. Deputy Ryan, I heard referring to there being a change in government policy from 2014-2015. I look at the delivery of social houses in 2014-2015. I wouldn't really be championing those as delivery of social houses either. I think that we failed in that regard too. But I think that without an affordable housing scheme, we're not going to be able to move on. And the Minister said at committee that he was going to sign the commencement of the affordable housing scheme, which was the old scheme that the previous Labour Fine Gael government actually stopped back in 2012, and he was going to sign that back in and bring in regulations behind it. That would be a start. But he said that 2 weeks ago, on the 17th of May. I'm wondering, when is that actually going to happen? Across the House, in government, in opposition, in all parties, we want to work in a constructive way to see real improvements on the ground. The Labour bill is helpful, the Sinn Féin bill last night was helpful, our own Fianna Fáil bill was helpful. What we really don't need to see now is, instead of government just saying, I'm going to accept this at second stage, is actually produce the residential tenancies bill and bring in amendments to put effect into certain aspects of these, because, as I said last night, if that's not done, we'll table amendments to the bill ourselves, and as an opposition I believe we can work in a unified way to make sure that those amendments actually come into law. Thank you.